कनेक्टिंग टू क्लाउड सर्वर्स वहां भी आ गया। जूम भी कह रहा है कि कनेक्टिंग टू क्लाउड सर्वर्स। फाइन।
We can take example of Zoom as well. We can take example of Zoom as well.
ऑफ कोर्स बिल्कुल।
Yes.
So, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to this special webinar on AWS. We'll wait for a couple of minutes, few minutes, I think, and let few other people and few other participants join, and then we can begin. Yeah, so we will begin shortly. We are just waiting few other people to join in, so we all are on the same page. So today's webinar is going to be about AWS, which is one of most talked technology in modern times. I mean, I think if some of you might have attended previous webinars, so we have been talking about like cloud technology in general, and then cloud and data, then cybersecurity, etc. So now we are specifically focusing on the one of biggest, but not one of, bulky, rather the biggest market player in the cloud industry, Amazon Web Services, that is AWS Cloud. Like because it's a very common topic of discussion or very common query among the college students, the freshers, or the beginners who are at the early stage of their career, that how they can get into the cloud industry or specifically into the AWS cloud. So all of your queries or your questions will be answered in this sessions. So we'll begin just in a bit. We are just waiting that few more people come, and then we can begin our session. So I request you to just to have a little patience, and then we will begin. Thank you.
And like Harit mentioned right now, that this is a common topic among other, among college students and people who have just joined their career and are looking at this field, and there might be some doubts and inquiries about how to get started on this, what's it all about, what what are the career paths in this. That is what we have been we would like to focus on in this webinar. So just
Yeah.
start shortly in a bit.
Yeah. So Shishir, I would request you to at least start talking about at the first slide. I mean,
Right,
even
right.
if start, but just on the first slide, like a little bit brief about yourself and the topic which we are going to cover. Thank you. Over to you, Shishir.
Okay, thanks. So basically, first of all, thank you everyone for joining on a Saturday afternoon. I'm sure like many of you must be having, some plans to meet up with some friends or catch up with the movies, or, just, some of the other work related things. But you are all here, and I thank you for that. It shows that, you are actually curious about this exciting field as a career option, and you want to know about how to get started on this. So thank you for joining. And basically, you must be hearing about the cloud, and in the news also it's being mentioned a lot of times that this certain company is now moving to the cloud, or this company has chosen AWS for its cloud requirements, things like that. So it's basically becoming more and more like a mainstream technology. It's no longer just an arena for people in tech industry. Every industry is being impacted because of this cloud technology, and more specifically AWS, because AWS is was one of the early pioneers in the cloud platform space, and it's still going strong in that thing. And as a fresher, I think it's something that is not really discussed in college. Like in college placements, more and more focus is on the data structures and testing side of the jobs. But I feel like I have been working in the cloud, in AWS cloud, among other things, since last 2 years, more than 2 years now. And I think it's a very exciting opportunity, and it's a new field which is growing and growing. And it's something that every fresher should definitely look into while they are choosing their career options.
Yeah. So I think we can now begin our webinar,
Right,
right? Yeah.
right.
So let's begin it.
Right. So basically, in this webinar, we're going to first start off with getting to know a little bit about the cloud, what's it all about, We're not going to go full technical, but we'll take some examples so that everyone can understand what this cloud technology is all about and what's the role that AWS is playing in today's tech industry and what's in it for you as a fresher or someone who is looking to switch to the cloud platform, cloud related roles.
Beginners, right?
Right. So you must have seen that uh, that certain companies are now advertising it in such a way that this application is being powered by the cloud, and this company is now moving all their workloads to the cloud. What does that mean? Right, what does that mean? It can help if you take an example of, like, let's say, if you are someone who is using Apple phones, right, Apple iPhones, you must have been backing up all your data to something called as iCloud, right? So iCloud is nothing but but a cloud which is being operated by by Apple, right? So what they're doing is they're taking up all your data, all your photos, and they're backing it up on something that they call as iCloud, which is backed up by cloud technology. Another example is, if you are someone who is using an Android phone, you must have seen that your photos and your videos are being backed up on Google Photos, right? Google Photos or Google Drive, and all these things are in on the back end side of these things, on the technical side of these things, they are all using the cloud technology. So and this is what cloud is all about. Talking more about the cloud is, it can help just let's take another example of, let's say, Paytm, right? So have you ever wondered what happens, like, when you start a transaction on Paytm? What's happening? What's going behind the scenes? How is it able to transfer your money, which is kept in bank X, to bank Y? Like, let's say if it's transferring money from your Citibank to your HDFC Bank, and it's happening all in 2 to 3 seconds. So the magic is happening on the cloud. How is that happening? Let's see that. So basically, in the past, what was happening was that, in last, I think, if you go 15 years back, all these technology companies were facing a problem. And the problem was that whenever they used to make a decision to, scale up their business or expand to new regions, there was a lot of, monetary commitment and a lot of time taking tasks which were required to procure new computers, new servers, in order to handle the demand which would be coming up, right? So this was the main pain point of them, and cloud technology came to their rescue. So what cloud technology tells us, told these tech companies, is that you can buy thousands and thousands of servers or computers and start storing them in your own data centers, right? So what these companies did, they brought they bought large acres of land all around the globe, and they started to make data centers on them. And like, here you can see, like, this is one data center over here, right? And these data centers are spread across like 40 to 50 acres, and each data center comprises of thousands and lakhs of computers running together. And they brought they started creating these data centers all around the globe. There are certain in US, there are certain in India, but the thing is that they're all in communication with each other. They're all forming a network, and what this network is giving you is, like, you or a company like Paytm can use this network to do all their technical work. So how Paytm works is, whenever you start a transaction on Paytm, it communicates with a server which is among one of the geographical locations in one of the data centers. Your request is going to that, and from there, there's some processing going on, there's some business logic behind that, and then after that, your transaction is getting completed and you're getting notification that transaction is over. So that's the magic of the cloud. It's able to do certain, such complicated tasks in a very short time. Another example that you can take is that of Netflix, right? Everyone is, hooked to Netflix series and binge watching shows. But what's going on behind the scenes, right? Whenever you try to watch a new movie on Netflix, what's Netflix doing that it is able to, give you a high definition version of that, of that video, and it's starting in like 2 to 3 seconds, hardly 2 to 3 seconds, right? And it is also, storing all your data, that what's the duration of this movie, and where did you, pause the movie the last time that you were watching, all of that data. So what happens is, whenever you start a movie on Netflix is, communicating with a server which may be in your region, which may be in the US, which may be in the Europe, and it's getting all that, data from there and streaming it to your device. And this is all, possible using the cloud technology. So here you can see that these are data centers, and they're all, connected and working together in a network sort of way. And because of that, you are able to, uh, access the computers and access applications on that computer, use Paytm, use Netflix from your own device, from your own laptop or mobile phone. That's the magic of the cloud. Another thing that you can consider in order to, broaden your understanding of the cloud is to take an example of an operating system, right? So many of us might be, on Windows, right? We are using Windows as an operating system. Some of us who may be, more tech savvy, they must be on Ubuntu or Mac, right? So have you thought, what is this operating system doing and why is it so important, right? So let's take an example, like you are someone who wants to, make some calculations on some complex calculations on your computer, right? So what does operating system do for you? It has a service called as a calculator application, which it gives you, and you can, run your complex calculations on that. It's a service, right? Operating system is giving you a service. Let's say you want to watch a movie, right? You want to stream a movie on Netflix. So operating system gives you a service called as a web browser application, which lets you, surf the internet, right? So an operating system is giving you a lot of services to do different type of tasks, right? You can think of cloud as an operating system as well, which and this operating system, like the cloud, is an operating system of the internet, right? So it's running on the internet, and it's giving you services to do certain things over the internet. For example, you can take an example of, let's say, Google Drive, right? So you can store data on Google Drive. So, and Google Drive is being backed up by a cloud, right? So that's the service of the cloud, to provide you with storage space, right? Talking about these operating systems, so there are many in the market, and AWS is one of them. And AWS, I'm focusing more on AWS because AWS today is like the most significant out of all of them, and we're going to see more on that. So, and you can think of AWS or any other cloud platform as like an operating system of the internet. Only thing is that when we talk of operating systems such as Windows, Mac OS, or Ubuntu, that's just running one computer, your own computer, right? But these cloud platforms are managing and running over thousands and thousands of computers. That's the difference. That's the difference is in the scale of operations. So this was more or less like a very brief, idea, to give you an idea about what the cloud is, what AWS helps us in, right? Let's talk, let's move to a more interesting part. So here on the screen, I have listed out, certain companies, which I'm sure, some of, like most of you must be, aware of some companies out of all them. So like, for example, Twitter is something that, we read about it on the news every day. Dream 11 is one of the hottest startups of India. Netflix is there, Adobe, SAP. If you are a working professional, you must be using, you must have come across SAP. So, and all these companies are working in a variety of fields, right? So some of them are news websites, some of them are entertainment websites, some of them are services like, Twitter or Adobe. They are giving consumers a service, right? But there's something in common between all of them. Even though they are so diverse, there's something that they're all doing. What is it? The thing is that all of them, like, first of all of them are, technological companies. They have engineering, they have a whole range of engineering teams, and they're all using AWS for their technical infrastructure. What do I mean by technical infrastructure? So, Netflix is storing their movies somewhere, right? It has to be stored somewhere, and it has to be given to a consumer via some technology, via some code, and there's something that is running the code, right? So that is what I mean by technical infrastructure. And for all these companies, AWS is the one who is providing the technical infrastructure. That's the impact that AWS has on the industry right now. Talking about its impact, so it would help to understand its scale as well. So AWS today is present in 24 geographical regions across the globe, and it has announced plans to open new data centers. Like I was mentioning, right, each data center is about 15 to 20 acres of land is there, and they have thousands and thousands of computers running together. And they are now going to launch 6 new data centers in India, Japan, Spain, Australia, things like countries like that. And it has also announced plans to train 29 million people on their AWS platform by 2025. So in less than 5 years, they have made a commitment and announced a plan to train 29 million people. You can understand the demand and the scope of this field. Some interesting facts about AWS. So there are many websites who are using AWS, and many of them are involved in video streaming industry, right? They're storing videos of their consumer and giving them an option of streaming. So on average, every minute, consumers view 7 million online videos, which are being backed up by AWS. AWS is operating as at an unimaginable scale. What's more, that if you are an Apple user, then you must be knowing Siri, right? It's a voice assistant, just like Google Voice. So people are asking Siri 1 lakh questions every minute. And you'll be surprised that Siri is using AWS behind the scenes. So whenever you speak to Siri, you are actually, interacting in some indirectly with a server which is being managed by AWS. And Amazon, as Amazon, we all use it to buy our things. And Amazon is doing business worth, like, people are buying thousands and thousands of dollars worth of items from Amazon, and all of that is being made possible by AWS. So whenever you say Amazon, whenever you tell Amazon to deliver something to your house, it's AWS which is taking care of the technical infrastructure behind the scenes. Another interesting fact, this was quite surprising for me while I was preparing for this webinar. This fact came across, and it was something very, very special. So every country has a intelligence institution, right, which is there to protect the country and to support the army, the air force, things like that. And these organizations are, up till now, they were very, very uh, sensitive about where they're storing their data, and where they're running their analysis, on whose servers they are running their analysis, because they are in a very very tough and very sensitive type of field, right, of protecting people, protecting population of a country. So you'll be surprised that one of the most popular ones out of them, which is the CIA from the United States, they are using AWS for their technical infrastructure. So they are storing all their sensitive data over the cloud on AWS. They are running their calculations, their analysis over servers which are being managed by AWS. So this can, tell us a lot about the trust that AWS has gained and the reliability that AWS has gained in the market today. Okay, so these are all, great facts about AWS. AWS is doing great. But why should you and I, as people who are trying to make a career and who are in this career space, who are just starting out their career, why should we care about it? So some facts, some numbers about that. So there are about 1 million active customers of AWS and they're spread across countries. Like they're spread across 190 countries, and there are thousands of schools, thousands of organizations who are actually using AWS for their technical infrastructure. This tells us that we should care about AWS because of these facts. So if so many customers and so many people around the globe are using AWS, what does that mean? It means that there's also a great demand for people who know how to use AWS, who have the required skills to work on AWS. So there's a great career opportunity which is present if you are skilled in AWS, if you're aware of AWS. Talking about its significance, so this cloud computing market is around now $1 trillion market. So every for all the Fortune 500 companies are either they are involved in giving cloud services or taking cloud services. So everyone is revolving around cloud technology, and it's $1 trillion market. And you'll be surprised that even though it's a technological market which are fiercely competitive, like there are so many players out there, but still AWS is commanding a more than 30% market share. It's kind of unbelievable that such a big market is being controlled by just one company. 30% market share for AWS. And not just market share, they have gained the market share and they are gaining more and more. So this here we have provided a graph which shows the revenue that AWS is generating since the last few years. As you can see, the graph is only going up and up. And experts have predicted that AWS has a lot of room to grow further, right? Here we have another fact that AWS has achieved 40% year-on-year growth, which is quite surprising given the size that AWS is operating on. It's a big company and it's difficult for big companies to grow fast, but AWS is doing that. So with all this growth and all these facts, it's one thing is very clear, that the market for skilled AWS engineers is growing, and it has reached a point wherein the salaries are increasing, and the perks that are being offered to engineers who are skilled in AWS is also growing. So it's a good time to be a skilled AWS engineer in the market. So like talking about the market, it would be like I told you, right? All the technological markets are fiercely competitive, right? If there's a new laptop coming up, then Apple also jumps in and launches a new laptop. HP, Lenovo, they're all even in phones. So you can say like in India only, I think we have about a dozen phone brands working and advertising, investing in this market. And in the cloud computing market as well, you can see here these companies are competing with each other. So there's Google Cloud, there's Microsoft Azure, there's IBM Cloud, there's cloud offering by Oracle, there's cloud offering by Alibaba, and there are other startups and smaller players as well, like Digital Ocean. And one thing to note over here is that all these companies are a very rich companies. They have all the resources available, and they have the best minds working with them, right? And they're quite popular as well. And still, they are not able to match up to AWS. When this market started, AWS was among the early players, and it was leading then a decade back, and it's still leading today. AWS is still the preferred cloud platform. So this raises a very important question, right? So if this market is a very large market of trillions of dollars, and these companies have the best minds, but still they're not able to compete with AWS. What is it that AWS is doing differently that it maintains its leads? So here are some reasons that why AWS is growing, is outperforming its competitors, and it's still it has a big vision to grow further. So the number one reason is that the prices of AWS are coming down and down. So as they scale their operations, they are able to provide their consumers more with less amount of money. And with expansion, they are able to expand their network. So like for example, they are launching new data centers in India, Spain, and Japan. So they're always expanding and expanding. Apart from that, there's a growing list of services. So like when we began, I told you about that cloud is AWS is like an operating system of the internet, providing you different types of services. So the list of services offered by AWS is growing every year. You'll be surprised that all this hype around metaverse and AR and VR, this is going on just now, but AWS has already launched a service which lets people who code to develop AR and VR applications using AWS. So they are always, they have a big vision, and they're always, innovating. One other reason that they are leading is because the AWS platform is battle tested. What do we mean by that? It is battle tested is that many companies like Netflix, the CIA have been using AWS. So AWS has a lot of experience in dealing with issues that they face, the demand that they make, all of that. So talking about the Indian scenario, right? As the Indian startup space has been exploding, and it's going really good for the country. And we have unicorns being created every other month. So and one thing that all these startups are doing is that they are using cloud platforms for their technical infrastructure. And all these companies are using AWS behind the scenes. These are the most popular ones, right? Zomato, Cred, Dream11. And AWS is now going to create new data centers in India to cater to this demand. So what does this mean is that if you are an engineer in India with the good skill set in AWS, with good practice on AWS, then you have a great chance of being hired and getting a chance to work in these wonderful companies. So yeah, so this is the most important question, I think, right? And this is the one that people are here for, right? What is it that you as a fresher or a beginner in your career can do to be fit for an AWS role, right? And I think it's a misconception that freshers can't get jobs in AWS related roles. So I got like my first job required me to work heavily on AWS, and I was hired right out of college. So if I can do it, then everyone else can also do it. So I'm just going to share some of the insights that I have gained over the past 2 years about AWS roles and how one can make themselves a great candidate for these roles. What is the preparation? What does the preparation for an AWS role looks like? So first, let's talk about what are the different roles that uh, you are eligible for, or you can become eligible for. So let's talk about the most popular one first. I think this is something that is, every company is looking into this, of a role for an DevOps engineer. So basically, DevOps engineer is responsible for improving the processes and implementing automations. There are other aspects as well, but to put it in a short manner, these are the key points. And for a DevOps engineer, I believe that not like people, like companies are hiring freshers for DevOps engineer roles. So there's no requirement of experience. Talking about this solutions architect role, this is also a very popular one. And this is mostly focused on building the infrastructure for a product. And this role actually requires you to have some amount of experience, some years of experience. I think after 2 or 3 years of experience, you can be applicable for, you can apply for these roles. Other roles like cloud support engineer, they are basically there to support customers of a company in technical challenges. And these roles also don't require any experience. They're quite good. The pay is also very good. Apart from that, there's integration engineer. So these people are responsible for complex troubleshooting, managing the infrastructure, and doing the deployments for a product. And there's no experience requirement for an integration engineer as well. So if you are a fresher, you can go for these two roles as well. Okay, I think there's a question. Let me pause for a minute. Hey, Vivek. Yes, I am going to come to this in the later part of the section,
So
in of the
yeah.
presentation.
So I think once we complete the explaining part, I think then we'll come back to this question. So I think it's a good question. We'll definitely answer that.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Okay, let me close this down. Right. So these are some. Let me just close this down. Okay. Right. So we were talking about these roles, and both of these roles are, very much in the reach of a fresher, uh, and they are quite good paying, and the career path is also quite nice. Apart from that, these are like some new roles. The newest of them are being, systems reliability engineer. This is something which is gaining a lot of popularity, and many companies are, hiring for them. Basically, this role requires a person to focus on monitoring, alerting, and notification systems of a product. This is a very interesting one. In fact, like what I do is somewhat, related to a systems reliability engineer as well. So this is very interesting, and there's no, I don't think there's any experience requirement for this. There are companies who hire freshers for these roles as well. Of course, they train in their own way, but a fresher can get a job as a systems reliability engineer. Apart from that, there's a very generic AWS role of a cloud engineer. Basically, a cloud engineer has to look into different aspects of related to cloud, be it infrastructure, be it automation, be it troubleshooting, things like that. And freshers are hired for cloud engineer roles as well. So this was a little bit brief about the roles. If I have to choose, if I have to suggest someone with absolutely no experience, with no industry experience, if they're just out of college, then I'll say go for, aim for a DevOps engineer role, or or this cloud engineer role. These two roles I think would be the best fit for a person just out of college. And if you are someone who has some technical experience, who has worked in some companies which have, if they have 2 to 3 years of experience, I think they should go for this solutions architect. Solutions architect, to be honest, is a little bit tough to crack, but uh, higher the the pay is also higher. So, if like Vivek asked, how to get started, what's the source of learning. So it would be, motivating for anyone who is looking to, join these roles to know about the best part, right? So there are two things. It's very easy to get started and it's highly rewarding. So with the current market trend, the salaries of engineers who are skilled in AWS is growing at a very, very good rate. And one more thing is that if you're a fresher, with the right guidance, you can become a good candidate for these roles within months. So yeah, now coming directly to Vivek's question, how can you begin your AWS journey? Right? Let's see how you as a fresher can begin your journey in these roles. So it would be helpful if you as a fresher can prepare for a AWS certification. So what's this AWS certification? Basically, AWS offers certifications. These are, they give you practice material, they give you material to study and gain knowledge about AWS, and then you can appear for an exam. It's a MCQ based exam, and it would, after you clear that exam, you'll get a certificate from AWS saying that you have completed training, and you have the required knowledge on AWS for working with companies. So it's very helpful, and the material that they provide is in such a way that you will get an idea about all the terminologies of AWS and how AWS is working and what is expected from you. Other benefits of the certificate is that they act as a validation, right? They are proof of your efforts to learn and excel in AWS. So of course, these are highly recognized by potential employers. If you have a AWS certificate, I'm sure they'll be giving you a preference over a candidate who does not have the required certificates. So, there are about, I think, more than 10 certificates offered by AWS. And mind you, like these exams are conducted by AWS. So they are not, conducted by any third party. AWS is, setting the paper, proctoring the exam and giving you the material as well. So there are about 10, certifications out there that AWS offers. Out of them, I think for a fresher or someone who is just, getting started with the cloud, these three should be looked into, not the other ones. Other ones are mostly, focused on people who are working with AWS and have experience of about 4 to 5 years of AWS. So, and these certificates require about 45 to 60 days of focused studies and daily practices, right? Of course, it also depends on on your caliber, on how you manage, how much time you can put in, right? But typically it should take about 45 to 60 days, and each day you can study for about, 2 hours. So that should be enough. Talking about these certificates, so this cloud practitioner is the most easiest one out of all them, and solutions architect is a little bit more difficult than that, and it focuses on certain topics which are required for infrastructure. SysOps admin is mostly also covering all the topics with a special focus on tools which are related to DevOps engineering. What else should a beginner do? So as the competition is growing, as more and more people are recognizing that cloud is a great career to be in, and AWS is one of the great career paths in that, uh, companies are now looking after people who are certified as well as who have the necessary hands-on practice, right? Not just the theoretical experience but the hands-on practice as well. So it is recommended that you practice on the AWS console as well to make yourself the best candidate out there. And AWS is giving you free credits, like it's free to use AWS and do some small experiments just for practice. So that's what AWS is doing for you. Okay, what else? What else? So these we have discussed about the career paths. We have discussed about how you can, start your AWS journey. But what should you expect from an AWS career? So one thing is that cloud is evolving and you will evolve with it. So there's a lot of room for growth, and with the current status in the Indian market, the salaries of AWS related roles are going to increase. They have increased a lot, and they're still going to increase. There's room to increase a lot more. So it's an exciting time to be in this field if you are from India. Okay, so let's talk about numbers, right? So like this data has been taken from Glassdoor. So this is like an average, averaged out data. And here we can see, let me just remove this. Here we can see that according to Glassdoor, for a fresher, the base pay, the average base pay is 6 LPA for people who have, the required hands-on practice and AWS certificates. And here we have also, mentioned about the career path, how a career path in AWS can look like. So after certain years of experience, you can see your salaries growing at a good rate. And these are just average salaries. So if you practice more, if you have uh, more caliber, if get even better guidance, then your salaries, would reflect that. So, I'll, this is, what I wanted to share. These are the tips and suggestions that I wanted to make and communicate to you, freshers or people, just looking into AWS. And, I'll just transfer the webinar to Harit now. He has something to, add, and uh, over to you, Harit.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Shishir. I think you have taken a very important topic to discuss, which is being one of most talked talked upon topic among the students, freshers, beginners, and in general tech community, that is AWS. And thank you for such a nice articulated presentation. I hope our audience who are mostly from colleges and at the early stage career, they must have benefited from this webinar because you have covered many important aspects of the entire discussion, like why what is cloud computing, why AWS is such a big name, why one should choose AWS and why you will get a lot of benefits in. I mean, you can get ahead in your career, how to get into this AWS. So I think I'm sure you must have covered most of the topics. So thank you again for this wonderful presentation. And so to the audience who are here to learn and understand about AWS and to begin their career. This we and coming back to this particular webinar, and we in every 15 days we are coming up with one webinar which covers some very important topics like data, cybersecurity, cloud, and AWS. So we'll keep coming with these kind of webinars to to benefit for all of you. And at the quick skill, we are building a smart practice platform for cloud computing and other emerging technologies. So currently we have the smart practice tests which are expertly curated, and using them you can actually get ahead in your certification exams and earn the wage. And the same time we are coming up with the hands-on cloud labs, which are very important things in modern times or in our times, contemporary times. Why? Because nowadays, as you know, that most of the companies and the corporation, they do not much care about like what degree you have or what percentage you have in your in engineering or in your degree times. They are mostly concerned about whether you have skills or not, and specifically the hands-on skills. So that's what we are building, and we are building it for companies, we are building it for colleges, we are building it for institute. So all the students and the tech tech people in general, they can actually learn the cloud hands-on cloud labs. Hands-on cloud labs are nothing but basically these predefined formats, predefined formats of of cloud learning or cloud practicing for a certain service, certain tools, or certain scenarios where you can directly go inside the cloud console for, let us say, for a certain time period, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, or 20 minutes, and learn that particular thing. So we are designing those cloud labs in a way that you will just need to follow those instructions and those text manuals, and then you will be able to practice and learn in a most effective way. So we are at the, pretty soon these cloud labs will be live on our platform, on our new web platform. And in similar fashion, we will continue to organize these learning webinars for the benefit of all of you. And with that, I think we can begin the question and answer session. So I think it's great that people have been showing the interest for this webinar. So even before the conclusion of this webinar, they already shot up a lot of questions. So I think we'll take the first question from Ravi, and then we'll come back to Ayushi as well. She's waiting. So Ravi is asking, like, what are the skill sets required for getting started in Davos field in AWS? Shishir, would you like to answer that?
Yes. Okay. So hi Ravi. Basically, as a DevOps engineer, you would be required to have an understanding about infrastructure, first of all, and automations as well. So I would suggest, you spend some time in getting familiar with how to actually start creating infrastructure, how to manage that infrastructure in cloud platform like AWS. And other thing that you can focus on is about getting familiar with Python or some other computer language that can help you in creating automations. I would suggest you go for AWS for the cloud platform and Python for the language. These are the two things that you should start on to make yourself a good candidate for DevOps.
Great. So we are continuing to receive more and more questions. That means this webinar or this topic has ignited a lot of curiosity among the audience. So this is great. So I'm coming to the Ayushi. I'm allowing you to talk, so you can ask your question. Yeah, please ask Ayushi.
Hey Ayushi, are you there?
Please unmute to.
Okay, unmute.
Please unmute yourself. Ask to unmute.
Yeah, talking is permitted for Ayushi.
Yeah. Okay. So Mayuresh, now you can ask your question. Hey Mayuresh, are you there? All right. So in case if you have some audio issue, you can just type the question here. We'll answer that. So another question is like.
Yeah. There are some
Okay.
questions, Harit, on the chat as well. We could start with those as well.
Right. So people are asking like whether you provide the training. So as I told you, we are a smart practicing platform. Currently, we are not focusing on the training aspect. As of now, we are providing you the hands-on skilling, hands-on practicing, and the practicing for the cloud certifications. So as of now, we are providing the loan, the training session, etc. That's a short answer from our side. So, okay, what are the skills required to be a cloud engineer? Shishir?
What are the skills required? Okay. Hi Mehul. So basically, for a cloud engineer, you should focus again on the two things that I told Ravi as well. First is to be skilled in a particular cloud platform. You could go with AWS. It's a good place to start. And for like as a cloud engineer, you would be expected to know how to implement certain automations. And for automations, Python is the market like is the preferred language. So go for AWS. Start working on Python, and yeah, those two things I would suggest. And if you are looking for more after these two, I would suggest you go for container technologies like Docker or Kubernetes, things like that. they will help you build a better, like a very good profile for being a DevOps or a cloud engineer.
Great. So, okay, so Vivek is asking like which programming language is best for AWS? I think this is a very important, very frequently asked question, like which language I should learn to get into the cloud industry.
Right.
So I think
Okay.
yes.
So see, in AWS cloud, as a person, as you are aiming for, DevOps or cloud engineer type of roles, so your focus would mostly be on automations, right? From the coding side of things, you will be expected to do automations only. You will not be expected to develop web servers or things like that. So, and for automations, Python is the best, and Python is the easiest to start with as well. And there's a lot of Stack Overflow questions. There's a lot of communities out there who are helping people get familiar with Python for AWS, Python for automation. So I would strongly suggest to go for Python. But even if you are someone who is uncomfortable with Python, then you can go for Node.js as well. I've seen people using Node.js for automations. So that can be also be worked out. But give first priority to Python.
Okay. So just a follow-up question, Shir, that many times it happens that somebody who is not very competent in the coding and programming. So is there something for him or her in cloud?
Right. So see, if you are someone who is not really, into coding, even then these roles are suited for you. In fact, I would suggest if you are someone who wants to be in tech and who does not want to code every day, then
Mhm.
these roles are very good for you. Reason being is that automations is
Which
just
roles?
the roles that I've mentioned over here, the DevOps roles, the the systems reliability, solutions architect, those kind of roles. And the reason is that automation is one part of the job, right? There's also a lot of focus on infrastructure creation, which does not really require you to code. So you can go for systems reliability engineering and cloud support engineering. These two should be your top choice if you are not into coding but still want to join related roles.
Because I think when we hear this term DevOps, like it sounds like it is very much related to the coding and development of software,
Right,
right?
right.
So,
So, but it's not
um,
really requires you to code new servers or new applications. It requires you to implement automations, which comprises of very less coding.
okay. Okay, so Mehul is asking a very important question, I think. Since I am a React JS developer, so how can I use AWS with React? I think this is a very, very relevant and very, important question for the people who are into the coding and the development, software development, like how they can, learn the cloud, specifically the AWS, and, get most of the benefits. So please, Shishir.
Okay. So Mehul, if you are someone, who is into React, then when you eventually, join the industry, you would be interacting with a lot of AWS services. So for example, your React code has to run somewhere, right? It has to run on a server. So you can, look into how to create a server, how to manage that server, and implement your React code on that server. So that is somewhere you can use AWS, which complements with your React skills. Another thing that React, while you're developing a React application, there might be some requirements to interact with a database, right? So how would you create a new database for yourself? So you can use AWS to create a database and then connect that database to your React code. That is how you can interact, you can make interactions with your React skills and something which is on AWS. So does that answer your
Understood.
question?
I hope it does. So Ravi is asking, like Ravi has not, he has just written three words like you mean selenium. I mean, Ravi, if you could
Oh,
just
no, no,
elaborate on it.
Selenium. Yeah, Ravi, I got that. Selenium is something which is used for uh, quality testing, right? Testing of code. Selenium is not related or near AWS.
Okay.
Selenium is in a different field of QA testing.
Mhm. Okay. Okay. So we also have a one question which is
I think we have some questions over here in the QA.
like, what is the fees to learn AWS code? Yeah, yeah, Q&A. So I think this is Vivek's question.
Right.
I'm not sure, but I think, see, Vivek, I think there is almost a zero fee. I mean, a very less fee. In a very minimal, money, you can learn this AWS technologies because most of the sources or resources for AWS are free, really available. I think the entire thing is available on the AWS platform, which is free to access, right? And then there are good videos on YouTube, and certainly there are third-party platforms which charges you. But I'm not, but I'm sure charges are not that much. Shishir, would you like to add something to that?
Yeah, yeah. So Vivek, most of the material which you require to get familiar with AWS terminologies are provided by AWS, and they are free of cost. Anyone can go and have a look over there. You can go through AWS documentation as well for that. So to answer this question, source of AWS where I can learn AWS, just do a Google
Right.
search. You'll get a lot of links of AWS. I think
Yes.
I've
Yeah.
already
And
answered this one. Which programming language? Yeah.
yeah. So one more thing to Vivek, like, see, learning and studying the theoretical aspect of this cloud computing or AWS computing is not a very, that's fine. But the important thing is like to get the hands-on skills, right? How you learn the new skills which you can use to perform your services on cloud, or basically you learn the real skills. So that is only can come from the hands-on skilling or hands-on practicing that we are building. We are coming up with very shortly. We are at the very last integration phase of those modules, and very soon we'll be making them live. So on our platform, on Quick Skills platform, you can come and we will learn. And I think there is a real time project. So yes, we will be including that some small real time projects that will give you a very industry wide idea or industry kind of idea. Okay. So another question, Shishir, like, yeah, by Python, did you mean Selenium for automation? Yeah, that was a follow-up question.
Okay. So Ravi, see, Selenium as a tool is basically used for testing out, right? They might be like, I have not really used Selenium. So they might be using Java, they might be using Python as well. But when I say that you need, you should spend some time with Python to get, good at like AWS related roles as well. What I mean is there are certain things in Python which helps you automate stuff, right? You need to focus on that.
Mhm. Yeah, so Shalini is asking, like, she has not, completely written her question, but I think for solution architect, she is asking about like solution architect, how to
Okay.
begin and the
So
areas we cover.
solutions architect is basically, in solutions architect, you'll be expected to cover a variety of topics of AWS services, right? And there would be a special focus on services which are like storage services or which are like server services, things
Mhm.
like that. So for solutions architect, there's a focused studies on
Shishir?
some topics. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, so there is another question in Q&A panel that is from anonymous attendee. Like, when can we give the AWS certification exam? Like, what duration we must learn and then give certification? So these certifications, like whether it's AWS certification or Google Cloud certification or Azure certification, these are conducted by the vendor itself. That means AWS is conducting and they are organizing this certification exam. They are responsible. They are the whole sole authority for this certification, awarding you or giving you page. So I think you can. Would you like to give answer, Shishir, to that
Yeah, yeah,
question?
yeah, sure. So when can we give the certificate? So these certifications, you are required to, schedule your own exam. So there's no like preset timeline by AWS. You can, today go to AWS site, schedule an exam for yourself.
Yes. And nowadays, I think you can also give it from your comfort of home, right? You
Yes,
can
yes,
give it
yes.
from
It's
comfort of home,
yeah.
right?
So like
Because of
when I gave the first exam, I had to go to a a center
job
far
center,
away from
right?
home. But nowadays
Right.
they are giving you an like opportunity to give it from home. So like about the second part of your question, what duration we must learn. So I feel that 45 to 60 days of studies with 2 hours of studies every day should be enough for preparing yourself for the certificate. But of course it also depends on how you study, how fast you are able to practice.
For competencies, etc. Yeah. Suppose if you are already working in a specific field, like you are already working in a DevOps, and then even though you might not have a certification, then it will be very easy you to go and clear that exam because you are already dealing with those scenarios. And suppose, but if you are not working and then you want to attain a networking certification, then certainly you need to put extra efforts. So those are the things which you need to take care. And any charges for AWS exam. So yes,
Any
because these
charges?
vendors are conducting this exam, so
Hello?
they are charging it. The cloud providers, that means in our case AWS. Am I audible?
Yeah, I think Harit, your voice was cracking. Can you repeat?
Yeah, yeah. So Vivek is asking like any charge for AWS exam. So yes, because these vendors are conducting this exam, so they are charging it. So for any particular certification which you want to appear, you can go to AWS website and then check their exam guide, where they have mentioned like what is the exam fee for this particular certification, what is the exam duration, what are the exam syllabus, how you can book it, how you can schedule it, on what are the things you need to be concern or be careful before going to exam. So all these details are available on their respective platforms, so please go and check.
Right.
Okay. Okay, so mm, okay, source of AWS we have already answered, Vivek, that the best source of learning AWS will be from the AWS platform itself. So okay, which programming language is best? Yeah, we have answered for that. Any okay. So Mohammed Razi is asking, is this is the important question, I think. This is an interesting question, that is Oracle Cloud Infrastructure is similar to AWS.
Okay. So like Oracle is a very well known cloud platform as well, but AWS is leading, and it is leading because it has better features, it has better pricing. So in order to compare if we are comparing both of them, I would say that AWS should be given priority.
Okay. So is there any new question? What are the skills required to be cloud engineer? We have answered for that. What will be the fee for appearing AWS exam? We have answered. Any real-time project will cover. Yes, so very soon we are bringing real-time scenarios, real-time projects on our platform along with the hands-on cloud dev. So you will be able to attempt and do that. I don't have any question. So so guys, if you have any questions, please ask. We are here to answer anything related to our webinar topic, that is the AWS cloud. So please ask. Okay, I failed doing an MBA after BTech. Okay, this is a different kind of question, but I think nonetheless important. I feel doing an MBA after my BTech would be beneficial. Do you think an MBA adds value to my cloud career? So this is more about like cloud sales and pre-sales and then business development of cloud computing companies. So let me answer to that. Let me try to answer this question. That see, you are already done your BTech and then you are going for MBA and you are thinking that it will help your cloud career. So in a way, it may help. Suppose after completing MBA, if you get the job in cloud computing companies or some technology companies which is working on cloud, so you might be placed into that sales department or pre-sales department or some kind of business related department. So yeah, I mean it is quite possible that that MBA, but see, but suppose if you already have a good understanding of cloud technology from technology, technical perspective, so it will help you. It will help you in developing your business sense as well. So yeah, I think answer to that question is yes. But then there is another point is that without doing MBA as well, you can get into business aspect of cloud computing. I mean, it is not necessary to go for MBA and then do this cloud thing, because cloud has a two things, right? Cloud is one side is technical, where you are working on the platform, you are working on certain services, tools, and certain scenarios and development, software development, application development. And the second thing is the business aspect of that entire cloud thing, right? So you need to choose like which section or which part you want to go. Okay, I hope I am able to answer that. So Shalini is asking, Shishir, do we need to have programming knowledge about Python and Linux for AWS solution tech certificate?
Okay, so Shalini, for appearing and for being able to clear the exam, you don't need like knowledge about Python or Linux. You need to be familiar with the AWS terminologies and just study well for those services. Yeah.
Fine. So any question, guys, before we wrap up? Because now we are at the very last section of our webinar session. And if you still have any question, you are free to ask, and we will be answer. We will try to answer that.
Right. And
Ask.
Harit, you mentioned about like in the answer to Karthik that like I think that was a very good point to point
Yeah.
answer. I would just like to add one thing, that if you do an MBA and if you already have had a cloud career, then you would be becoming eligible for a variety of new roles as well. So your skills can be complementary, like you can go for an expertise in cloud career as well as an MBA to be eligible for very niche kind of roles, like sales, like you have to sell to companies, you have to make a proposal to companies that this is what we are planning to do for your infrastructure, things like that. It can help you in that.
Yeah, because ultimately at the end of the day, it's all about business, right? So,
Yes.
but there is a one catch, Karthik, in your question. Like you are going for MBA, or maybe I mean hypothetical scenario, like somebody is going to MBA right after BTech. So I'm not sure if you have gained the expertise on cloud technology. I mean,
Mm,
apart from flying and that. So you would be at a very fresher level or very beginner level, even after doing the MBA. So, this scenario can play out in a multiple ways. There is no certain answer to this question. I'm sorry to say that, but there is no certain answer to that. It depends like how your path or how your career evolve, and do things, and then. But yes, good luck from our side for MBA. And if there is any other question, please ask. Otherwise, we are going to wrap it up. Thank you, Karthik.
thank you.
Okay, so thank you, everyone. Thank you for. So now with that, thank you, Shishir, for giving such a wonderful webinar and giving answer to all the good questions from our good audience. And thank you guys for coming out and taking time out of your busy Saturday afternoon and attending this webinar. We will continue to hold such seminar in future. I mean, like at least one webinar in every 15 days. So see you in next webinar. Thank you very much. Have a great day. Thank you. Thank you, Mayuresh. Thank you, Paul.